One thing they do really well I've looked at so many studies in the last 2 weeks about alpha hydroxy acids. And I wish this video was easier to make, but it's not. Essentially because there's theories, clinical studies, other theories. And the truth is, we mentioned this last week, we just don't really know how they work. We kind of know what they do, but we don't really know how they do it. So in the 11th hour, I got a Hail Mary, and it was a kind of a summary study I found on the U.S. National Library of Medicine National Institutes of Health. I'll link it below, as well as a ton of other resources about AHAs. The thing about this study that's really cool is it summarizes a lot of the other studies and most widely accepted theories, puts it all together nicely, and then links it all below so you can check out the abstracts of those studies yourself. Very cool, very helpful. There are a lot of AHAs. However, the ones that they study, the ones that there are the most research about the documented effects are glycolic acid, lactic acid, citric acid, and acetic acid. Filtering those down to glycolic acid and lactic acid. Those are the two that they've done the research that there's really anything substantial about. So quick definitions: glycolic acid comes from sugarcane extract, lactic acid comes from sour milk, citric acid comes from citrus fruits, and acetic acid comes from apple cider vinegar. So if you remember, I told you that the AHAs were kind of discovered and popularized in the 90s. So there's research studies from then all the way till now. Now, what they know AHAs do and how they perform on the skin has pretty much stayed the same. But how that happens or what the mechanism of action is, that's changed a little bit. What I'm gonna give you are the 4 top things that from the 90s until now we know about what AHAs do on the skin. Number 1, they moisturize your skin. Something about the way that AHAs interact on the cellular level help your body increase epidermal levels of hyaluronic acid. Now, if you're not familiar with what hyaluronic acid is, it's a substance that can hold on to 1,000 times its weight in water. So essentially what hyaluronic acid does is it holds moisture to the skin. So AHAs increase that naturally on your skin. Number 2. It accelerates collagen synthesis. Like I said, they don't really know how, they just know that it happens. Yes. AHAs to this area stat, we need some collagen formation. Number 3. Glycolic and lactic acid suppress melanin formation by directly inhibiting tyronase activity. That's pretty big, especially for a person like me that's got some melanin formations in irregular patterns. Number 4, AHAs remodel living skin. Now, if you remember from our skin layers video, part of our skin on the very top level is somewhat dead. And that dead skin is protecting the viable living tissue, the living skin underneath. Well, the thing that AHAs do is they cause the very top layer, the stratum corneum, to become smaller. They encourage viable skin growth underneath. They also get in there and they organize stuff and they compact stuff, making it firm and more elastic.
So what do you think? Are you intrigued? Let's go deeper.
Say you're interested in using AHAs. Well, there's some things we've got to talk about. First of all, they can be irritating to the skin. Number 2, since we don't really know how they work, there is a potential at some point in the future they could say, don't use AHAs. It's happened before. Number 3, Because you are messing with the layers of your skin, you need to make sure you're wearing sunscreen. So now that we've gotten the black box warnings out of the way, so now maybe you want to work alpha hydroxy acids into your regime because you're saying, I've got aging skin, I've got acne, I've got dry skin. You know, alpha hydroxy acids appropriately dosed can be good for any skin type. So products that you're gonna see on the market for the most part are 20% below of alpha hydroxy acids. The next thing that we have to talk about is the pH of a product. And this is where I'm going to mention this blog that I found that's really interesting. The name of the website is Lab Muffin. It's run by a woman named Michelle. She's amazing. She has a PhD in chemistry. So I'm going to talk about a few points that she makes on one of her blog posts. 1. pH changes the amount of alpha hydroxy acids in the products that's absorbed into your skin. For alpha hydroxy acids, you should look for a product with a pH of less than 4 and a concentration of 4 to 10%. If you're very interested in pH, check out that blog post. I'm going to link it below. Now, if you remember, the stronger the acid, the more irritating it's going to be to the skin. So keep that in mind if you have sensitive skin. You may want to tread softly with acids, or alpha hydroxy acid in general. So what are my two favorite sources of alpha hydroxy acids? I'm sure you probably knew that there's lactic acid in yogurt, but the cool thing about yogurt, the thing that's worth pointing out, is that the pH is around 4. And the lactic acid content is about 0.9. And that's one of the interesting things about the studies, is that where people saw the most skin remodeling was in long-term use. And the cool thing about yogurt is it's very mild on the skin. If you wanted to get technical, people might say there's not enough alpha hydroxy acid in yogurt to cause an effect, but we don't really know. I mean, they've never done a clinical study about yogurt's effect on the skin. So, for all we know, could be the best thing for you. Did you know that honey contains gluconic, citric, malic, formic, and lactic acids? Learn that from a book. That's it for this video, guys. I hope it wasn't too discombobulated. Like I said, there's so much out there, and what I really strive to do is give you the nuts and bolts of all the reading that I've been doing over the last couple weeks, and also to just give you the resources yourself to look this stuff up, because I know you guys are smart. That's why you wanted to watch this video.